Ice Water Experiment by Mackenzie Clegis, School C.H. Norton. What is my experiment? My experiment tested people's pain thresholds to see how long they could keep their hand in a bucket of ice water. While they stuck their hand in the bucket, I timed to see how long they could last. I had 14 participants. Seven of them got a distraction, a funny video, while the other 7 got no distractions. I timed both of the groups to see which group overall could last longer. My results lie within this presentation. Hypothesis. If a distraction is played while the subject submerges their hand in ice water, then it will make them have a stronger pain threshold, rather than without a distraction. Procedure. 1. I make sure the water in the bucket is at a cold temperature. 2. The person is prepared for the experiment by knowing what they have to do in order to succeed. 3. When they place their hand in the water, the timer, also if they are part of the independent variable group, a video, will start. They have a limit of 4 minutes to keep their hand in the bucket of ice water just to be safe. 4. I observe the reactions/facial expressions to the ice water. If they are part of the independent variable group, I also observe the reaction to the video. 5. After they take their hand out of the bucket, I stop the timer and mark how long they lasted. 6. I observe their hand, if it's numb, if it's a different color, or if it's cold. 7. Tell them to leave and get the next person. Materials. Water 5 liters, ice 4 to 5 pounds, bucket 4 gallons, hands of a human, a timer, a stopwatch, a computer for the distraction. Observations. Observations I made while conducting this experiment are facial expressions. People without the distraction were more irritated looking. People with the distraction looked more focused on the video and not as irritated. Graphs. As shown in my bar graph over here, I put down the average for both of the groups. Obviously, the mean for the people with the distraction is higher rather than the people without the distraction. This is also in seconds. Another graph I have. Reaction results. 14 people said their hand was cold, which is in the yellow slice. 13 people said their hand was numb, which is shown in the red slice. And 10 people said that had red hands, which is shown in the blue slice. Analysis. My hypothesis was correct. People did last longer with a distraction, overall. Things that can be learned from my data are, obviously, watching a distraction can increase your pain threshold, depending on the person. Not everyone had the same time. It varied with or without the distraction, which means not everyone will have the same pain threshold. Common trends I observed while conducting the experiment were, people without the distraction tried to make conversation. They said, "This is really cold," versus how the people with the distraction made no conversation and rather focused on the video. Discussion. Reasons I believe I got my data that I did are, people without a distraction tended to look more in pain, more aggravated or pacey, rather than people with a distraction, which did lead to the people without the distraction cracking earlier than the people with the distraction. Of course, this does not apply to all my subjects, as seen in the analysis. Also, I made sure that the clock in the room was disabled so that none of my subjects could watch to see how long they had their hand in the water, basically so they did not cheat. Possible ways I could improve my experiment are, I conducted the experiment in a bigger room. Ideally, I should have had a small room with no possible background distractions. Another thing I could have improved was conducting the experiment in an isolated space where no other people could distract the subject. I believe that my project is important, and here's why. Pain affects a lot of people in this world today, in many different forms. My experiment shows that the majority of people who have a distraction tend not to focus on their pain and rather focus on the distraction, which can be very useful for the people in the world today. The distraction probably won't come in the form of a funny video, though. It might come in the form of a loved one or a hobby that they like. Conclusion. In the end, my hypothesis did prove to be correct. I conducted my experiment and got the results I believed I would, which also stated that my question was valid. The data I collected showed different possibilities for what use it could have on the people in the world today. So, yes, a distraction can affect your pain threshold.